So there were these recent peace talks, right? U.S.-backed, aimed at stopping the fighting in Sudan, and they just completely fell apart, almost instantly.
Yeah, it was incredibly fast. One side agrees to a humanitarian truce, and then, within hours, you hear shelling, drone strikes. It's
Yeah.
like the diplomacy never even happened.
That's exactly what we want to get into today. Why did this latest attempt collapse so dramatically?
Well, to understand that, you have to look at who's fighting and why it's so hard to get them to stop. It's the Sudanese Armed Forces, the SAF, under General al-Burhan.
Right, the official army.
Exactly. And they're up against the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF, led by Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, Hamedi. This whole thing kicked off way back in April 2023. So we're talking over 2.5 years of intense conflict.
And the human cost is just, it's almost unbelievable. Tens of thousands killed, sure, but the displacement numbers,
Nearly 12 million people.
12 million, forced from their homes. People are calling it the world's largest displacement crisis right now. It's hard to even picture that many people just searching for safety.
It really is. And when you dig into why this keeps going, why peace is so elusive, you start to see it's not just about power in Khartoum. It goes deeper.
It's about the country's wealth, isn't it? The resources on the ground.
Precisely. Sudan is sitting on vast riches. Think gold mines, huge ones, out in the deserts, and then the oil fields down south. This fight is very much about controlling that wealth.
Who gets to sign the deals, basically?
Who gets the revenue, yeah. And that internal scramble, well, it's pulled in outside powers. It's turned into a massive regional proxy war.
Okay, let's break that down, because that seems key to why truces fail. Who's backing whom?
So the UN, among others, has pointed to the UAE allegedly supplying arms to the RSF. The UAE denies this, of course.
But if the RSF controls, say, the gold mines, you can see why an external actor might want influence there, right? Access to hard assets.
Makes perfect sense strategically. And then on the other side, the SAF, the army, they've got support from Egypt, Saudi Arabia, but also Turkey, and interestingly, Iran now too.
Wow, so a real mix of regional heavyweights.
Absolutely. And these countries, they have their own interests. Strategic location on the Red Sea, resources, regional stability, or instability, depending on their goals, when both sides are getting weapons and money from outside.
It makes a domestic ceasefire almost impossible to stick.
Exactly. Which brings us back to this latest attempt just last week. The U.S. tried to orchestrate something.
Right, this specific proposal. It had Saudi, UAE, and Egyptian backing, supposedly.
Yeah.
A 3-month humanitarian pause.
Yeah. The idea was stop the fighting for 3 months, let aid actually reach people who are starving, and then try to get real talks going in Jeddah.
Sounded promising, at least on paper. And the RSF, they actually said yes, didn't they, on Thursday, November 6th?
They did. They publicly agreed to the plan. There was this brief moment, maybe a few hours, of, well, cautious optimism.
But the SAF, the government side, total silence.
Radio silence. Aggressive silence, you could say.
Oh.
And then almost immediately between that Thursday evening and Friday morning, November 7th, it just evaporated.
Wow, what happened on the ground?
The fighting just erupted again, loudly. Witnesses in Omdurman, which is right next to Khartoum,
The Twin City, yeah.
they reported huge explosions near the Wadi Saidna military base. This was around 2 a.m. GMT Friday morning, just hours after the RSF said yes to the truce.
So a clear violation right away.
Undeniably. And then it got worse. Around 4 a.m., 2 hours later, that buzzing sound people dread. Drones.
Oh, no.
A drone strike hit a power station near the base, knocked out power to big parts of the capital. So not just fighting, but actively targeting essential infrastructure.
And was this just contained to the capital region?
Not at all. Reports came in from Atbara, which is way up north, about 300 kilometers. It's an army-held town.
Okay.
Before dawn there, residents saw the sky light up. Anti-aircraft guns firing, apparently secondary explosions on the eastern side of the city. Shows the RSF still has that long-range capability, especially with drones. They can hit targets far from the main front lines.
It's quite brazen, though, isn't it? Agree to a truce, then launch drone strikes hours later across the country. How do analysts explain that?
Well, there's a perspective. Cameron Hudson at CSIS, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, he put forward a pretty critical take.
What did he say?
He basically argued that the RSF agreeing to the truce was maybe just a smokescreen, like political maneuvering.
A smoke screen for what?
To deflect attention. He suggests they were trying to look like the reasonable party internationally, maybe to distract from a major military gain they'd just made elsewhere.
Ah, okay. So linking the diplomacy or lack thereof to the battlefield reality, where was this game?
In Darfur. Just a couple of weeks before this truce attempt, around October 27th, the RSF captured El Fasher.
El Fasher. That was the last major SAF stronghold in western Darfur, wasn't it?
It was a huge strategic victory for the RSF. Capturing El Fasher basically gave them control over all 5 state capitals in Darfur.
Wow. But the reports coming out of El Fasher after the takeover were horrifying.
Absolutely devastating. The UN Human Rights Office has been inundated. Reports of mass executions, widespread sexual violence, systematic looting by RSF fighters. People described El Fasher becoming like a ghost town. So a strategic win, yes, but at an appalling human cost.
It's crucial to remember that cost when we talk about these strategic shifts.
Yeah.
So if the RSF has consolidated Darfur, what does the SF do? Where's their focus now?
It seems laser focused on Kordofan.
Kordofan. Why is that region so important?
It's the key link, really, geographically and economically. It connects Darfur in the west to Khartoum in the east. And critically, it's rich in oil. The SF cannot afford to let the RSF completely lock down Kordofan.
So that's the next potential major battleground.
It looks like it. And specifically, there's a lot of concern about El Obeid.
El Obeid. What's significant there?
It's the capital of North Kordofan, a really important city, a major hub for trade, transport, a vital crossroads. There are whispers, worrying ones, that the RSF might be planning a major push to take El Obeid soon.
And if El Obeid falls?
That would be a massive blow to the SAF. It could potentially open a path for the RSF right back towards Khartoum from a different direction. It really redraws the map again.
While all this strategic maneuvering is happening, the humanitarian situation, especially further south, just keeps getting worse, right? We're hearing about famine.
Yes, terrifyingly so. Take Dilling, for example. It's a town in South Kordofan. It's been basically besieged by the RSF since June 2023.
And are locked down for over a year.
Exactly. And just this past Thursday, the same day the RSF agreed to the truce, shelling hit the hospital in Dilling. It destroyed the radiology wing, injured staff and patients.
Targeting a hospital.
The Sudan Doctors Union didn't mince words. They called it a complete war crime, targeting healers, people trying to save lives in the middle of a siege.
And this kind of thing, destroying infrastructure, blocking aid, it pushes areas towards starvation. Is there data on that?
There is. We look at the IPC scale, the Integrated Food Security Phase classification. It's the standard global tool used by the UN and NGOs.
Okay, what does the IPC say?
It says Dilling, that town where the hospital was hit, is now right on the brink of famine. Phase 5 is famine. Dilling is teetering on the edge.
And other areas?
Kadugli, the state capital of South Kordofan, is already classified as being in famine. And we know from September data that El Fasher, after it fell, along with 3 nearby refugee camps, were also confirmed starvation zones.
It's just, the cruelty is astounding, especially when you think about the resources there.
That's the terrible paradox, isn't it? This whole Kordofan region, it holds the huge Heglig oil field. It borders South Sudan's oil areas. It should be relatively prosperous, or at least able to feed itself.
Instead, it's a zone of starvation and war crimes.
Exactly. Oil wealth right next to mass starvation.
So let's try and pull this together. We have the RSF making strategic gains, like in Darfur, possibly using truce agreements as diplomatic cover.
While continuing attacks, yes. Drone strikes, shelling.
And the SAF, the government, maintaining this aggressive silence, seemingly unwilling to engage seriously in talks while they're losing ground, or perhaps preparing counteroffensives.
And meanwhile, international mediators are pushing for talks in Jeddah. But every ceasefire attempt before this has collapsed. The pattern is grimly consistent.
Foreign backing for both sides just keeps the war machine fueled, overriding any local desire for peace, it seems.
That appears to be a major factor, yes.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with a really tough question, doesn't it? For this cycle to ever break, what needs to happen? Do the big external players, Egypt, Iran, Turkey, the Saudis, the UAE, whoever is backing each side, do they finally have to step back?
Or will they just keep fanning the flames? It's hard to see a path forward otherwise.
And what does the world owe the people of Sudan? The millions displaced, the children starving in places like El Fasher or Kadugli. What happens when a promise of aid one day is just shattered by bombs the next? It's something we really need to think about.